We're here today at our Lay of the Land seminar to talk about how natural assets like our soils, our water and our vegetation can add to the profitability and open new doors to markets on farm. Farmers in the Hills and Fleurieu are facing big changes, and we're joined today by industry, banks and agribusiness to talk about how natural assets are the new currency to agriculture.
Buyers of our product, when assessing sustainability, looking for credentials on pack, the key things they're interested in is really how we can validate what we're actually doing on farm. Australia in particular has a really strong reputation for clean green products, and we can actually match that quite often in the practices and have a really good story to tell. But unfortunately in this world today, we can't just rely on our word. We need to have data that actually backs up those claims. In terms of positioning themselves for premium markets, farmers are best to really talk to their supply chains and understand what it is that they value and what their customers and their markets will be looking for. In some cases, like in the case for Greenham, we do have existing standards that help our producers access markets, and we can work through that with producers to help them really demonstrate their credentials and how they actually align and perform. But it's really just important to have that conversation and understand what your markets are actually looking for. A big thing again is just going to be that data, that proof, and quite often just the record keeping to validate what you're doing on farm.
Yeah, so green finance, we talk about essentially being able to provide a bit of a discount to farmers, producers, where we see they can use those funds to promote, their journey to carbon reduction and emissions reduction, basically. So the way farmers can access it, best I'll speak to your agri manager. It's just a matter of getting some data around carbon baselining, emissions reduction planning, and then we can sort of go from there. Yeah, so the types of farm activities we're seeing being funded by green finance, we're talking about things like equipment finance, so your solar panels, your sort of electric vehicles of the like, as well as nitrogen reduction schemes in terms of fertilisers, livestock feed, and even reforestation, shelter belt development, sort of things of that nature.
Banks play a huge role in supporting sustainability. Essentially, we're here to create a collaborative partnership with our customers. So it's important to have that conversation and have a continuing open conversation with us. Talk to us about what your projects are, what you're thinking about doing, even if you don't have something specifically on farm at the moment. What are you thinking about? We've got a lot of connections that we can help support you with and help you kind of go through this journey. So to apply for green or sustainable finance, a couple of key things are a baseline report and also an emission reductions plan. These are two things that you can present to your banker, and we can help you work through what to do from there. If you've got specific projects on the go, just chat to us about it, and we can always try and help you, we'll guide you towards some other resources as well. To stay competitive and profitable long term, I'd recommend that livestock producers stay on top of their numbers as a key thing. Work through your cash flow and know what your impacts are, both good and bad. And secondary to that, I'd recommend that you stay close to your banker. We are a resource that's here to help you. We're happy to be out on farm talking through these things with you, and we can help point you in the right direction whenever you need it.
In terms of, projects we may see added to the list in the future, to be honest, there's quite a wide net already. I think the answer would be if there's a project you've got in mind that maybe isn't on the list of things you've heard us talk about, just speak to us. We've got a fair bit of scope to work through things on a case-by-case basis.
The Nature Repair Market's an Australian government scheme established for private landholders to be able to recognise outcomes of biodiversity on their property and receive compensation for those outcomes. For most farms, the Nature Repair Market could be a realistic option for them, but they need to consider how it fits into their broader farm planning. The Nature Repair Market probably works best where the integration of biodiversity outcomes works well for the farm productivity, so things like planting trees to improve agricultural productivity and addressing salinity issues, erosion problems, those sorts of things are best placed to engage with the Nature Repair Market.
The Australian Agricultural Sustainability Framework is a first-in-its-class, world-leading principles-based sustainability framework that describes the common shared values of agricultural sustainability across the nation. So in terms of the day-to-day impact of the framework on farmer operations, I'd think of it like how a corporation thinks of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Those also describe a destination that all of us are trying to get to, and the AASF does just that for agricultural sustainability. It helps farmers put into context what they're doing on farm, in management practices, within the broader context of what it means to be sustainable in Australia.
So for Thomas Foods, measuring our greenhouse gas emissions is really important from a risk management perspective and identifying opportunities and innovation. So this covers our energy, our supply chain with producers, water and waste management. So It enables us with better productivity, but also helps with our market access, where our customers are relying on us to reduce our emissions as it moves down the value chain to them. It's important for producers to participate in the global market and have access to those customers that are looking to reduce their emissions. Producers sit on the upstream side of the food system supply chain, so companies like Thomas Foods and then retailers inherit those emissions from producers. So it's important for them to be part of the conversation. So responsible livestock production means building resilience into the natural capital, looking at everything from your water, your waste management, animal welfare, carbon emissions, biodiversity, all those sort of things to ensure that you are resilient going forward as the climate changes and as the geopolitical climate shifts as well. So it enables producers to access markets, it enables them to access capital, access insurance, and then build scale into the supply chain where they can be tier 1 suppliers to companies like Thomas Foods. Producers should focus on that system approach, the regen ag or climate smart agriculture, looking at deforestation, land conversion, biodiversity, animal welfare and water management, particularly in a country like Australia where water stress is such a big issue and will be going forward. That building that resilience into their natural capital is going to be really important to ensure that they can still supply stock to companies like Thomas Foods and have that economic resilience going forward. My advice to producers in the Adelaide Hills and Fleurieu areas are to participate in programs as much as possible, like with the state government PERSA Landscape Board. There are a lot of resources out there to support you, also private sector with banks and companies like Thomas Foods. We're there to support our producers, and creating partnerships is going to be key going forward, that we can create scale and help support each other.
Natural assets matter now more than ever. If you're ready to future-proof your farm, connect with us at Landscapes Hills and Fleurieu. We've got a great website with heaps of resources and a bunch of opportunities and workshops coming up that are free to attend. Thank you so much to our speakers who took the time to do the video today, and we hope you found those insights useful.